From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has designated Department of Information and Communications Technology or DICT Undersecretary for Special Concerns Paul Mercado as Officer in Charge or OIC of the agency. Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro made the announcement in a text message to reporters on Monday. This follows the resignation of Secretary Ivan Uy as DICT Chief last week. Malacañang has yet to share information behind Uy's resignation. Mercado served as director at the Office of the Speaker at the House of Representatives. He led the Philippine delegation at the 5th Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN Digital Senior Officials Meeting in Bangkok, Thailand in January.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Department of Information and Communications Technology or DICT is set to overhaul the free Wi-Fi program, citing high costs and inefficiencies in the current setup. DICT Undersecretary Jeffrey Ian D. on Monday said, the program requires re-evaluation and restructuring for a more cost-effective approach. The government has an annual budget of 6.5 billion pesos to cover internet access in over 7,000 locations. In a press release, D said, there are more cost-effective alternatives when long-term agreements are signed, such as the internet provider Low Earth Orbit or LEO, which offered an aggregated 200 megabits per second or Mbps of internet for 10,000 school locations at only 1.5 billion pesos per year, provided the procurement is through a 10-year contract. In addition to improving school connectivity, DICT plans to use 40,000 locations for broadcasting educational content to enhance digital learning nationwide. The government is also shifting focus to mobile network expansion. D said President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has directed the department to allocate 5 billion pesos to the SIM card ng Bayan project, which aims to fund the construction of permanent cell towers. It will support the expansion of permanent cell site towers by subsidizing a portion of the cost for telecommunications companies and common tower providers. The subsidy will be provided in the form of free 25 gigabyte internet subscriptions for students within the coverage of the towers. DICT sees the Common Tower Program as a long-term solution to expand mobile network coverage and broadband access.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Monday downplayed reports suggesting potential unrest in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARM after a change in the region's top leadership. In a press briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro allayed fears of possible instability after the announcement that Maguindanao del Norte Governor Abdul Rauf Macacua replaced Moro Islamic Liberation Front or MILF chair Ahod Ibrahim as the region's interim chief minister. Castro said Chief Ahod Ibrahim is one of the proponents of the peace process, so that is unlikely to happen based on Chief Ibrahim's personality. However, Castro declined to comment when asked about the reason for the replacement of Ibrahim as BARM chief minister. Ibrahim has led the BARM since its transition government was established in 2019. The development came following the national government's move to postpone the BARM's first parliamentary elections from May to October.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Monday, the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration or PAGASA assured the public that this year's dry season would not reach the extreme levels experienced during the onslaught of El Nino last year. In a press briefing in Malacañang, PAGASA Assistant Weather Services Chief and spokesperson Ana Liza Solis said the public could expect less intense dry season this year, a relief from 2024's El Nino, which brought record-breaking temperatures and heat indexes. Solis said last year's dry season is hotter because the country experienced strong El Nino and recorded record-breaking temperature and heat indices. The World Meteorological Organization said 2024 was the warmest year on record. Meanwhile, PAGASA said 2024 was also the hottest in the Philippines since monitoring started in 1951. Despite a less intense dry season, Solis warned that heat indexes could still soar to between 48 and 50 degrees Celsius, especially toward the end of April and early May. However, she assured the public that actual temperatures are not likely to reach the 40-degree Celsius threshold, while the extreme heat index of 52 degrees recorded last year would only occur in isolated instances and not on a widespread scale. She also clarified that PAGASA has yet to officially declare the onset of the summer season despite warmer temperatures being felt across the country.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Monday, Malacañang expressed optimism that the Philippines' tourism revenue will continue to rise in the coming months following an impressive performance in July. In a press briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro reported that the country's tourism revenues exceeded pre-pandemic levels, starting the year with earnings of 1.1 billion US dollars or 65.3 billion pesos. Castro said that with the implementation of improved immigration processes, the government anticipates continued positive growth in the tourism sector. The palace official added that the increase in tourism revenues is a reflection of the country's stable peace and order situation, as foreign tourists are not afraid to visit the country. According to the Department of Tourism or DOT, the Philippines welcomed over 1.1 million visitors in January and February this year. On March 6, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco, and Trade Secretary Cristina Aldeguer Roque hosted a gathering of movie producers and industry executives at the Sunset Marquis Hotel in California to encourage them to make the Philippine locations part of their projects. The DOT said among those that attended the gathering were noted Hollywood figures such as Kevin Kwan of Crazy Rich Asians, producer Lawrence Bender, and Parasite producer David Shim. According to Secretary Frasco, the Philippines have more than 7,600 islands perfect for movie backdrops, from the beautiful shorelines of Boracay and Palawan until the historical Intramuros. Besides this, there are new incentives for foreign film productions under the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives for Enterprises to maximize opportunities for reinvigorating the economy or create more law, including tax holidays and lower production costs. The initiative aims to place the Philippines in the map of global entertainment industry.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines and Hungary reaffirmed their commitment to deepening bilateral ties as they celebrate the Philippine-Hungary Friendship Week, marking 52 years of strong diplomatic relations. During the opening ceremony on Monday at the Department of Migrant Workers or DMW office in Mandaluyong City, DMW Secretary Hans Leo and Hungarian Ambassador to the Philippines, Tita Nilia Toth, highlighted the growing partnership between the two nations, particularly in labor and economic cooperation. Kakdak underscored the positive contributions of Filipino workers in Hungary, noting that around 9,000 to 10,000 Filipinos have been employed there in recent years, fostering strong relationships with Hungarian employers. The DMW Secretary expressed gratitude to Ambassador Toth for supporting the increasing labor ties between the two countries. Ambassador Toth, for her part, said, "The Philippines is one of the only 3 countries from which Hungary recruits foreign workers, with around 13,000 Filipinos currently employed in key industries such as automotive manufacturing, logistics, hospitality, and agriculture." Aside from the positive spirit and work ethic, Ambassador Toth also expressed admiration for the deep Christian faith of the Filipinos, which she said is somewhat similar to the Hungarians. The Philippine-Hungary Friendship Week also showcased cultural exchanges featuring Hungarian poetry and traditional dance, cuisine, and sporting activities, and the Philippine culture embedded in its food, crafts, and music.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippines Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, on Monday dismissed Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's remarks that incidents in the South China Sea, or SCS, are staged under the direction of other countries. In a statement, the DFA said, China should recognize that the Philippines is an independent and sovereign state whose actions and decisions are driven entirely by national interest and the interest and well-being of the Filipino people. China previously compared the SCS dispute with the Philippines to a shadow play and warned that those acting as others' chess pieces are bound to be discarded. Wang said there is a screenplay written by external forces for every move of the Philippines on the sea, adding that the show is live streamed by Western media and the plot is invariably to smear China. The DFA said no creative analogy or play of words will mask the real issue, which is China's refusal to abide by international law, particularly the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea or UNCLOS and the 2016 Arbitral Award, and the adverse effects of China's disregard for the rules-based international order on Filipino communities genuinely affected by China's illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive behavior at sea. The agency called on countries to be circumspect and to avoid actions and words that only contribute to tensions in the region.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radio Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 9.475 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radio Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radio Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.